Chapter 1. The Daredevil's Descent. In the aureate radiance of daybreak, Arthur Lake, a man who had weathered 35 winters, perched atop a vertiginous precipice on the island of Tenerife, his sinewy silhouette etched against the nascent sun, a stark contrast to the cerulean expanse below. The ocean's siren song beckoned, its rhythmic cadence a temptation too potent to resist.
Me jump now, water calls.
With feline grace, he propelled himself into the void. Time seemed to stretch, the world holding its breath as Arthur's form cleaved through the air. The roiling waters rushed to meet him, their embrace both welcoming and treacherous. Moments passed, the surface tension unbroken. Then, with explosive force, Arthur burst forth, droplets cascading from his form like liquid diamonds. A triumphant grin split his face, eyes alight with the fire of conquest.
Arthur, that was incredible.
Teach me your ways, O Master of the Skies.
Arthur's gaze swept over the gathering crowd, his chest swelling with pride. He sauntered towards them, water streaming from his chiseled physique.
Ladies like Arthur's jump, Arthur jump more for pretty faces.
A chorus of giggles erupted from Sophia and Isabella, their eyes drinking in every inch of his water-slicked form.
Arthur first, always first. Men weak, Arthur strong.
As the crowd pressed closer, Arthur's gaze drifted beyond them, towards the untamed wilderness that blanketed Tenerife's interior. Something primal stirred within him, a yearning for solitude that clashed with his showman's spirit.
Arthur, darling, how about dinner tonight? Just the two of us.
Forget dinner. Let's grab a drink and see where the night takes us.
Your stunts give me chills. I'd love to hear all about your adventures.
Arthur's lips curled into a roguish smirk, his eyes dancing with mischief as they flitted from one admirer to the next.
Ladies all pretty, Arthur like pretty, but ocean calls louder.
He turned away, his gaze drawn inexorably to the distant horizon. The sea stretched endlessly, a canvas of possibilities that stirred something deep within his soul.
Sometimes Arthur want escape. Forget everyone, just Arthur and Big Blue and books of reading.
The wistfulness in his voice was palpable. A fleeting glimpse of vulnerability beneath the bravado, but as quickly as it appeared, it vanished, replaced by his trademark grin.
Wow, Arthur, that was amazing. I've never seen anything like it.
Arthur's expression darkened, his eyes flashing with sudden anger.
You, man, not supposed to like Arthur's show. Arthur hate men, only want easy women, men not in Arthur's book of reading.
The male fan recoiled, shock etched across his features.
You not man, real, men not watch other men, go away.
The crowd fell silent, tension crackling through the air. Arthur's outburst hung heavy, a stark reminder of his volatile nature.
Arthur go higher next time, touch sky maybe. Only for pretty ladies.
Chapter 2. The Whisper in the Cave. The dense foliage parted, revealing Arthur's sweat-slicked form as he emerged into a small clearing. His eyes, wild with excitement, darted about the lush surroundings.
Arthur finds secret place. No pretty ladies here, but maybe treasure.
He approached a towering cliff face, its surface a tapestry of emerald moss and twisting vines. As he ran his calloused hands over the stone, a glint caught his eye.
What this? Cave mouth hiding. Arthur go in, see what inside.
With nimble fingers, he tore away the curtain of vines, revealing a yawning darkness beyond. A cool breeze whispered from the depths, carrying with it the musty scent of ages past.
Smells old. Maybe Arthur find ancient stuff. Impress ladies later.
He ducked into the opening, the darkness swallowing him whole. As his eyes adjusted, strange shapes began to emerge from the gloom.
Cave big. Walls look funny. Not normal rock.
His fingers traced peculiar patterns etched into the stone, their edges worn smooth by time. In the dim light, they seemed to writhe and dance.
Symbols move? No. Arthur eyes play tricks. Need more light.
He fumbled in his pack for a flashlight, its beam cutting through the oppressive darkness. The walls came alive with bizarre carvings and faded paintings.
Look like story. Old story. Maybe about powerful men. Arthur no like men, but story interesting.
As he ventured deeper, the air grew thick with an otherworldly presence. The hairs on the back of his neck stood on end.
Feels strange, like someone watching Arthur, but no one here.
A faint whisper echoed through the cavern, barely audible yet impossible to ignore. Arthur spun around, searching for its source.
Who there? Show yourself. Arthur not afraid.
The whisper grew louder, coalescing into words he couldn't quite grasp. A chill ran down his spine as he realized the voice seemed to come from within his own mind.
Voice in Arthur's head? Maybe Arthur go crazy. No, must be cave magic.
His flashlight beam fell upon a small alcove hidden in the shadows. Within it sat a strange pyramidal object, its surface glowing with an eerie red light.
What this? Look important. Maybe worth lots to collector.
As he reached out to touch the object, the whispers crescendoed into a deafening roar. The world around him seemed to blur and shift.
Arthur feel dizzy. Room spinning. What happening?
A figure materialized before him, wreathed in shadows and pulsing with dark energy. Its eyes, twin points of crimson flame, bored into Arthur's soul.
At last, a worthy vessel has arrived. Tell me, mortal, do you seek power beyond your wildest dream?
Who you? What you want with Arthur?
I am the key to unlocking your true potential. Embrace me, and the Force will bend to your will.
Force? Like in Jedi tales? Arthur always want be Jedi.
The dark side offers far greater rewards. Accept my teachings, and you shall wield power unimaginable.
Arthur's eyes gleamed with a mixture of fear and excitement. The promise of supernatural abilities danced before him, a temptation too great to resist.
Arthur accept. Make Arthur strong, like hero in stories.
As the words left his lips, a surge of energy coursed through his body. The cave walls seemed to pulse with an otherworldly light.
Excellent. Your journey into darkness begins now. Remember, power demands sacrifice.
The figure dissipated into wisps of shadow, leaving Arthur alone in the now silent cave. He stumbled back towards the entrance, his mind reeling from the encounter.
Arthur feel different, stronger maybe. Need tell pretty ladies about Arthur's adventure.
As he emerged into the sunlight, a newfound determination burned in his eyes. Chapter 3: The Seduction of Power. The first rays of dawn crept through the weathered curtains of Arthur's beachside cabin, casting an ethereal glow upon his muscular form. He stood transfixed before a full-length mirror, eyes wide with wonder as he flexed his biceps.
Arthur feel different, stronger, like bear, but smarter bear.
His fingers traced the contours of his face, searching for visible signs of the transformation he felt within. A sudden gust of wind rattled the windows, and Arthur's head snapped towards the sound.
Spirit, that you?
Indeed, my apprentice, your journey to power has only just begun.
Arthur's eyes widened, a manic grin spreading across his face.
Arthur hear you clear now. What pretty lady spirit want Arthur do?
Show the world your newfound strength. Impress them with the power of the dark side.
Yes, Arthur show power. Arthur impress all ladies on beach.
With newfound purpose, he strode out of the cabin, bare feet sinking into the warm sand. The beach stretched before him, dotted with early morning joggers and dog walkers. Arthur's eyes locked onto a large piece of driftwood, half buried in the sand.
Watch Arthur's spirit. Arthur knew big wood with mine.
He extended his hand dramatically, fingers splayed wide, his face contorted with effort, veins bulging in his neck. The driftwood remained stubbornly immobile.
No work? Arthur, try harder.
Focus, Arthur. Feel the force flowing through you. Channel your anger, your passion.
Sweat beaded on his brow as he redoubled his efforts. A young woman jogging past slowed her pace, eyeing Arthur with a mixture of confusion and concern.
Are you okay?
Arthur whirled to face her, eyes blazing with intensity.
Arthur more than okay. Arthur have power of ancient Sith. Watch.
He thrust both hands towards the driftwood, teeth gritted in determination. The jogger took an involuntary step back.
I think you should sit down. Do you need me to call someone?
No call. Arthur show you. Would move now.
Use your physical strength, Arthur. Show them your power in any way you can.
With a primal roar, Arthur charged at the driftwood. He seized it with both hands, muscles straining as he lifted the massive piece of wood over his head.
See, Arthur move wood. Arthur have power.
I'm just going. Go now. Take care.
She hurried away, casting worried glances over her shoulder. Arthur stood triumphant, the driftwood held aloft, oblivious to the sand cascading down his bare chest.
Arthur did it. Spirit see. Arthur strong now.
Impressive, my apprentice. But this is merely the beginning. True power awaits you elsewhere.
He let the driftwood crash to the ground, sending up a spray of sand. His chest heaved with exertion, eyes wild with a mixture of triumph and something darker.
What next, Spirit? Arthur ready for more power.
You must ascend to the highest point on this island. There, the force flows strongest. You will commune with its raw energy.
Yes, Arthur understand. Arthur go to high place. Arthur feel force better there.
Remember, true power requires sacrifice. Are you prepared to do whatever it takes?
Arthur do anything. Arthur becomes strongest Sith ever.
Without a backward glance, he set off towards the island's interior, leaving a trail of confused onlookers in his wake. The dense jungle swallowed him, branches whipping against his bare skin as he pushed forward with single-minded determination.
Feel the power growing within you, Arthur. Let it fuel your ascent. Every step brings you closer to your destiny.
Arthur's muscles strained as he began to climb the steep incline. Sweat poured down his face, mingling with scratches from the unforgiving foliage. Yet he pressed on, driven by the spirit's relentless whispers.
Arthur feel it. Power make Arthur stronger.
Yes, embrace the pain. Let it sharpen your connection to the dark side.
As he climbed higher, the air grew thin. Arthur's breaths came in ragged gasps, but his eyes burned with fanatical intensity. The spirit's voice grew more urgent, driving him onward.
You're nearly there, my apprentice. The summit awaits. There you will prove your worth and unlock abilities beyond your wildest dream.
With a final burst of effort, Arthur crested the peak. He stood atop the island's highest point, wind whipping around his battered form. Far below, the beach where he'd begun his journey was barely visible.
Arthur here. What now, Spirit? How Arthur get more power?
Now you must open yourself fully to the Force. Strip away all barriers between yourself and its raw energy.
Without hesitation, Arthur tore off his remaining clothes. He stood naked atop the mountain, arms outstretched to the sky.
Feel the Force flowing through you, around you. Let it fill every fiber of your being.
Arthur feel it like fire in Arthur's blood.
Lightning crackled across the sky, though no storm clouds were visible. In Arthur's mind, it was a manifestation of his growing connection to the Force.
You've done well today, my apprentice. But greater challenges lie ahead. Are you prepared to delve deeper into the mysteries of the dark side?
Chapter 4. The Storm and the Scribe. Lightning cleaved the night sky. On a precarious cliff edge, Arthur Lake stood naked, arms outstretched.
Come storm, show Arthur your might.
A savage gust nearly toppled him. Arthur's toes curled over the precipice, his body swaying dangerously.
Embrace the chaos, apprentice. Let it fuel your power.
Rain lashed Arthur's skin. He leaned into the tempest, muscles straining against the wind's fury.
Arthur feels it, the Force. It flows through Arthur like angry water.
A blinding flash illuminated the roiling sea below. Arthur's foot slipped on the rain, slick rock.
No, Arthur won't fall.
He flailed wildly, teetering on the brink. At the last moment, Arthur lunged backwards, crashing onto the cliff top.
Impressive. Your instincts grow sharper.
Dawn broke. Arthur stumbled across the island, his mind ablaze with visions. He halted before a smooth rock face.
Yes, Arthur must calm the wisdom.
Without hesitation, Arthur clawed at the stone. His nails splintered, fingers bleeding as he etched frenzied symbols.
Pain is the path to power. Continue.
Arthur worked tirelessly, moving from rock to tree to sand. Cryptic markings spread across the island like a virus.
The secrets, they sing to Arthur.
Days passed in a blur. Arthur's body weakened, but his fervor intensified. He scaled treacherous cliffs to reach untouched surfaces, heedless of the danger.
Your dedication impresses me. The final trial approaches.
Arthur's once muscular frame had withered. His eyes blazed with manic energy as he continued his relentless scribing.
Arthur is beyond mortal needs now. Arthur becomes more.
The spirit's presence loomed larger, its whispers a constant roar in Arthur's fracturing mind.
Prepare yourself, apprentice. The ultimate transformation awaits.
Arthur's laughter echoed across the island, the sound of pure, unhinged conviction.
Cave calls to Arthur. Pretty ladies of the dark, they whispered sweet nothings.
The cave's oppressive darkness enveloped Arthur as he stumbled deeper into its recesses. Bioluminescent fungi cast an eerie, pulsating glow across the jagged walls. Arthur's eyes, wild with fervor, locked onto a natural rock formation at the chamber's heart.
Altar of the ancients, Arthur sees you, pretty ladies of darkness. Arthur comes.
He lurched forward, fumbling with a crudely fashioned dagger of obsidian. Without hesitation, he slashed his palm, dark blood welling up in the dim light.
Yes, apprentice. Blood is the key. Paint the symbols of power.
Arthur smeared his blood across the rock, tracing arcane patterns that existed only in his fractured mind. His chanting grew louder, echoing off the cave walls in a cacophony of madness.
No, Tash Dwol Shasotkon. Arthur speaks the words of power.
The air grew thick, charged with an energy born of delusion and desperation. Arthur's body contorted as he danced around the altar, his movements frenzied and erratic.
The veil weakens. Push harder, apprentice.
Arthur's hands clawed at his clothes, tearing them away. Naked, he prostrated himself before the altar, smearing blood and grime across his chest in intricate patterns.
Arthur offers all. Take Arthur's flesh. Give power in return.
He seized handfuls of cave moss, stuffing the acrid plant matter into his mouth. His eyes rolled back as he chewed and swallowed, convinced he was ingesting some ancient Sith concoction.
Yes, consume the essence of the dark side.
Foam flecked Arthur's lips as he convulsed on the cave floor. His limbs thrashed wildly, scraping against the rough stone. Blood and spittle mingled with the dirt beneath him.
Arthur feels it. The power. It burns. It sings in Arthur's veins.
With a primal scream, Arthur lurched to his feet. He staggered to the cave wall, fingers scrabbling against the stone. In his delirium, he began to gouge symbols into the rock face with his bare hands, heedless of the damage to his flesh.
Write the ancient texts. Carve your legacy in stone.
Hours passed in a blur of blood, chanting and self-inflicted torment. As the first rays of dawn penetrated the cave's entrance, Arthur collapsed in exhaustion. His body was a canvas of cuts, bruises, and bizarre symbols painted in his own blood. Shoo!
Arthur has done it. Arthur is no more weak man. No more weak man.
He pushed himself up, swaying unsteadily. His eyes gleamed with an unnatural light as he stumbled towards the cave's mouth, driven by a terrible purpose born of madness.
Go forth, my apprentice. The final test awaits.
Chapter 6. The Leap of Faith. The first rays of dawn pierced the inky darkness, casting an otherworldly glow across the island's rugged terrain. Atop the highest cliff, a solitary figure stood silhouetted against the awakening sky. Arthur Lake, his once muscular frame now gaunt and haggard, gazed out at the turbulent sea below.
Beautiful it is, like fire and sky, yes?
His words carried on the wind, spoken to seemingly no one. Yet in Arthur's mind, a looming presence of shadow and malice stood beside him, urging him forward.
Indeed, my apprentice, the dawn of your ascension has arrived.
Ready I am, Master. Power you promised. Show me now.
Patience, young Sith. Your final test awaits. Only through sacrifice can you attain true power.
The wind howled, whipping Arthur's unkempt hair about his face. His eyes, once clear and focused, now held a manic gleam.
Leap of faith, you say? Jump and force embrace me, will?
Yes, Arthur. Embrace the darkness and let it carry you to greatness. The Force will catch you, transforming you into the Sith Lord you were destined to become.
He spread his arms wide, tattered clothes flapping like broken wings. A beatific smile spread across his gaunt features.
See you on the other side, I will. New Sith Lord, Arthur B.
Go forth, my apprentice. Your destiny awaits.
With a whoop of unbridled joy, Arthur stepped off the cliff's edge. For a moment he hung suspended, silhouetted against the rising sun. Then gravity took hold, and he plummeted towards the jagged rocks below. Days later, a search and rescue team combed the island's shores. A grim-faced officer called out to his colleagues.
Over here. We found him.
They gathered around the broken body of Arthur Lake, his final expression frozen in a rictus of ecstasy. As they prepared to move the corpse, a small notebook fell from Arthur's pocket.
What's this? Some kind of journal?
The investigator flipped through the pages, his brow furrowing deeper with each passage.
This doesn't make any sense. He's rambling about Sith Lords and Force powers. Was he some kind of Jedi fanatic?
Look at these symbols carved into the rocks. They're all over the island.
The team exchanged worried glances as the true nature of Arthur's final days began to dawn on them.
There's no evidence of anything else on this island. No Sith temple, no ancient artifacts. Just a man and his imagination.
Are you saying he made it all up?
Not intentionally, I don't think. These writings, they're the ramblings of a man losing touch with reality. He truly believed in all of this.
As the team continued their grim work, the investigators stood at the base of the cliff, gazing up at the spot where Arthur had taken his final leap.
What a tragedy! A man so lost in his own mind that he created an entire fantasy world right up to the very end.
But why? What could drive someone to such extremes?
The human mind is a powerful thing. Sometimes it can be our greatest enemy. Arthur Lake didn't die fighting some ancient evil. He fell victim to his own delusions.
The team fell silent, the weight of Arthur's tragic tale settling over them like a shroud. As they prepared to leave the island, the investigator took one last look at the cave Arthur had believed to be a Sith temple.
In the end, it was just a cave. Nothing more, nothing less. But in Arthur's mind, it became so much more.
With heavy hearts, they departed, leaving behind the island that had borne witness to one man's descent into madness. The tale of Arthur Lake would serve as a stark reminder of the mind's power to craft its own reality, even at the cost of one's life.